what exactly does it mean when we say fan service? Is it a storytelling device, or is it the absence of one? Is it the goal of a piece of media to serve its fans, or is it a service to meet fans' expectations? Or is it something that defies expectations altogether?
Both technically and theoretically, fan service refers to moments in media where something happens that is only there to garner attention from the fans of the source material, and is explicitly done removed from the overall plot, serving no specific function in the story being told. It's something neat thrown in for us nerds to go, oh cool, that's the Infinity Gauntlet. I wonder if that'll come up later. Damn, why did Jessica want nothing to do with me in 9th grade? Now, of course, this is not what we mean when we talk about fan service. When we talk about fan service, we mean this.
If you look at fan service on the internet, the results are not exactly what we mean. It's not exactly what I mean. Tug of war between creators of stories and consumers of stories predates digital media altogether. But because of our ever-growing digital connection to one another, the discourse on what it means to please a fan is in higher contention than ever. What a story does to elicit pleasure for me may not elicit pleasure for you. Maybe pleasure is the wrong word for that. Put that away.
Well, it's probably not the best idea to start off a video about fan service by claiming that the very idea of fan service is kind of not real and really just equates to, by my own definition, small tangents within a movie simply meant for fun. I must digress. We have a video to watch after all, don't we? So instead of repeating my mantra that storytellers in any genre of film or franchise in any media can tell any story they want using whatever means they wish, let's not talk about what it means when we talk about fan service. Let's talk about what we mean when we say,
fan service is so hard to define, so we decided to break it down into a few distinct categories. We'll also be discussing the films and media in our examples at length, so if you don't want to get spoiled on something, just head down to the description to see what exactly we're talking about, and feel free to skip around. I don't want to tell you who dies at the end of...
There are many different types of fan service that can be used in different ways for different effects and with highly different reactions. Some of these methods are a bit more subtle than others, but if we're going by the definition that fan service is something in a piece of media purely there for fan expectation or reaction, then these are some categorizations or subgenres, if you will, of those methods. One of the most well-known versions of fan service, the Easter egg is typically found in legacy content or any adaptive material. Something from a previous film or the overall source material that is placed literally in the current media for an audience member to find. The previously mentioned Infinity Gauntlet showing up in the first Thor movie is the perfect example of this. As you may know, Marvel movies tend to, how should I say this? Use a lot of these.
There you go.
These types of fan service are really the ones with the most connective tissue to what most of us mean when we say fan service. Little moments or background objects simply there for fun that really don't affect the overall plot or drive any character motivations outside of a clever wink or line of dialogue, simply meant to entice or tease a specific demographic of their target audience. It's a fun way to, well, have fun making these types of movies that have so much pre-established lore that just about anything could be used as an Easter egg or hint at some future project in the established universe. Many YouTube channels, some of them friends of this channel, make a living off of diving deep into these facets of the films and television shows of popular franchises, and the conversation around them is normally one of positivity and a sort of brotherhood amongst fans. But while these fun nuggets of subtle intrigue usually headline list sites and countdown videos, there's another type of fan service that you usually see dividing fans of all walks of life when it comes to certain decisions made by content creators.
We have finally made it to the part of the video where you are now going to call me a cuck and give us a dislike. So I'm going to give you time to do that. You don't have to leave a comment, it's fine. Let's talk about subversion. Subversion is defined as seeking or intending to disrupt an established institution. So what is an established institution in storytelling? Well, one example that comes to mind is a type of story that has spanned, let's say, 40 years. It takes place in a galaxy far, far away. There are robots. People have laser swords. I think you know what I'm talking about. Or another example that just comes to mind is a video game series that deals with a father figure and an adoptive daughter in the post-apocalypse. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi and The Last of Us Pt1. When The Last Jedi came out, it felt like the Star Wars fandom was ripped apart in two. On one side of the argument, the film received really high critical praise. Currently, it still has the highest percent of any Star Wars film on Rotten Tomatoes. Its audience score, though, is a lot lower than you might expect. The other side of this argument is that it's the worst Star Wars movie ever made. People hate this movie. They hate it. I don't really get it, but people hate this movie. But neither review on Rotten Tomatoes is indicative of the whole picture, right? Rotten Tomatoes isn't the end-all be-all of film criticism. After Last Jedi's release, as the weeks went on, the discourse around the film just grew louder and louder. A vocal minority of fans who hated the film started to drown out all the positive reactions to the movie itself. Even now, a few years removed from The Last Jedi's release, and with even more Star Wars in between, The Last Jedi remains to be one of the most controversial pieces of not only Star Wars media, but media in general. As someone who is a fan of The Last Jedi, I will attempt to talk about this movie without overshadowing the opposite opinion. Yo, but seriously guys, I love this movie. The thing I love about The Last Jedi that so many people hated is that it subverted my expectations of what a Star Wars movie could be. After The Force Awakens, which in general played things really safe with the property, coming into the movie and seeing an old, haggard Luke throw away his lightsaber, almost throw away the Jedi Order, felt refreshing because it's something I never would have expected. Sure, I want to see Luke do some crazy lightsaber stuff, but this is more interesting to me. Luckily, we see him do a bunch of crazy Jedi stuff in The Mandalorian. Learning that Rey, at the time, wasn't supposed to be related to any other previous Star Wars character and was just a nobody. Truly a nobody who was able to meet the status of Luke Skywalker. That was really cool to see. It showed that anybody could be a Jedi, it doesn't matter who your daddy is. But eventually it turned out it does matter who your daddy is. But for those reasons why I really like the movie, these are the reasons why people are not so hot on The Last Jedi. For them, it felt like a slap in the face. They've waited 40 years to see their favorite character that they grew up with, and he's just kind of being an asshole. Rey's lineage was hotly debated on every forum across the galaxy, and fans felt like it was a slap in the face when the answer to all their theories was nothing. She was a nobody. She had no legacy, she had no lineage. But I think what they didn't realize is that these movies could have been her having a legacy. As cool as it is to learn that Luke Skywalker comes from a long line of chosen people and crazy Jedi, it makes him less of a relatable character. And who could forget what's his face? Mike, what's his name? The Emperor? No, the other guy.
Snook?
Ah yes, who could forget Snook? By just eliminating a character without knowing where he's from or what his motivations are, fans felt like this is one of the worst narrative decisions that could ever be made. Snoke was another character that fans spent hours making videos, writing articles, theorizing on who he was and where he was from. So to just have this character who essentially is just a stand-in for the Emperor get offed in the second movie of a trilogy, fans felt scorned. Is it a bad thing that a piece of media wasn't influenced by fan speculation? Or does the movie owe it to the fans to give the forums that they worked so hard to pump in theories a writing credit? Because Rian Johnson didn't meet fan expectations, the film was heavily criticized. The Last Jedi does away with many tried and true Star Wars conventions, and while for some it made the series feel fresh again, for others it felt like a betrayal. To the fans that felt like they were betrayed, this movie felt like it hated being a Star Wars movie, lambasting itself and then by extension, lambasting the fans. The Last Jedi set out to surprise and delight the fans by giving them something that they could never have theorized on a forum. And for some, it really worked. And for others, it really didn't. I understand that the audience for these movies is vaster than I think I can even comprehend. I can understand that it wasn't the movie that people signed up for. But for me, and I'm sure for some people, probably a small amount of people, it's my favorite Star Wars movie. I love this movie. The Last of Us Pt1 subverts our expectations in similar ways to The Last Jedi, beginning the game with one hard-hitting swing to the brain of the fans. Oh god, I don't even like that joke. By killing Joel in the beginning of the game, the plot of The Last of Us Pt2 heads in a very different direction. Could you have seen Joel's death coming? Or even expected it to happen in this game? Sure, because you're really smart. You're a genius! Neil Druckmann, co-director of the Last of Us series, said that The Last of Us Part 1 is a game about love, but The Last of Us Part 2 is a game about hate. Our expectations are subverted when a character we just met, we just took control of, kills one of our favorite characters of all time. Couldn't have seen that one coming. The game further subverts our expectations and even subverts our own hatred for Abby by making us feel for her as the plot continues. By fleshing out her backstory and learning her motivations, we as the player almost forget that the game made us kill Joel. And maybe feel a little vindicated about doing it. You're a bad guy. You do bad stuff. For all the controversy The Last of Us Part 2 endured, it surely defied people's expectations. For better or for worse. Damn. I love that game. It's fascinating that the choice to surprise fans can create such a chasm to divide them. Add a few decades before releasing something that is gestated in the minds and hearts of the fans, they're gonna have some expectations. I don't think it's bad for media, art, games, movies, TV, whatever, to be controversial. I think all art can have the capacity to be controversial. I think to feel something, to feel anything, when playing a game or watching a movie or listening to music is nothing short of a miracle. So to be furious with an artistic decision, it kind of just means that the creators were doing their job.